India's biggest challenges, that is, inequity of opportunities and individual agency. In India, roughly around 12 million youth enter the workforce every year, but our economy creates jobs for only about a fraction of those. So this forces over 90% of our youth into the unorganized sector or non-salaried jobs. And in this journey, they are often unsupported and they don't even have the skills to succeed. So Udyam interventions basically come into this. So we've actually delved into this problem for quite some time and tried to work with different groups of people and realized that deeper engagement with children and empowering, equipping India's youth with the mindsets and skills required to succeed in life is important, and we should actually start doing that right from school, so that children are able to bring that connection from what they are learning into the real world out there. So for which our mission has been also working, built around this, and it has been primarily now focused around making Bharat entrepreneurial, where we believe that we need in India more job creators now, right now more than ever, so that we are not just seeking but also creating opportunities for ourselves and for the millions of other Indians. And that's where we we partner with governments and even different communities to create a hands-on curriculum for students in grades 9 through 12, where we train teachers, we equip them with skills required to conduct the program. We also present our curriculum tools, also the product tools that we have, including the chatbot that we're going to talk about later, and a web app where we are providing resources, the right information at the right time, and creating flows so that we are able to also collect the data for the learning progression. And we monitor that progress through our dashboards that we have. Yeah, I think what we'd like to also talk about before I move on to the chatbot is that at Udyam, the entrepreneurial mindset development program, students basically go from identifying local problems, career exploration, to building real world business projects, and even eventually creating a profile showcasing their work and becoming ready for the real world. In grades 11th and 12th, they work on business ideas, building prototypes, market surveys, pitching their ideas, and in some states, even launching their ventures with the seed money that they get from the governments. And also, showcasing their work at local melas, district level melas, or even state level business melas that are organized with the governments. To give an estimate, we have roughly over 1 million students who've received about 200 crore rupees in seed funding from the various governments that we have worked with. And the impact measured at this scale has been validated by World Bank RCTs. And there's an ongoing 10-year longitudinal study that we are doing with McGill University to look at mindset shifts and skills that children are developing while going through our curriculum. And this we are basically doing at scale. So maybe Aishwarya, I think you might need to go to the next slide. But till date, at Udyam, we've reached almost 4 million learners. We are working across 12 states. Our goal is to reach about 10 million learners by 2027. And but doing this comes, scaling at this level actually comes with its own challenges, and which includes basically the ability to be able to deliver quality learning outcomes at scale. So maybe, yeah, Aishwarya, the next slide. Yeah. So, for example, in a classroom of 70 students, personalized mentorship by a single teacher is nearly impossible. So we look at this use case. There's a story from Uttarakhand where there's a student, 11th grader from Uttarakhand, Pooja, who has a great idea for clay products and wants to create a business out of it. But she does not know where to begin, and she has questions about how to take her products to the market. Her teacher, Ritu, here, she doesn't have the knowledge to, or even the time to guide her. And there's a critical gap in the system that impacts millions of her students, similar to this use case. Specifically for a teacher, expecting them to be able to help children at a deep level and engage with them, provide that level of mentorship so that they are able to solve real problems and build business ideas together. That has become a difficult ask. And on the other hand, for a teacher to be able to even find out ways in which she can contribute and she can help, that's where basically we've seen a common gap arising. And this is where we have been using technology, specifically our chatbot on WhatsApp powered by Glific. And I'll talk about a couple of use cases in which we are using it. We are building a powerful yet simple and accessible solution. It's a WhatsApp based learning companion. I'm calling it a learning companion because our curriculum basically is something that we share in the form of textbooks, there's training, all of that happens. But we also provide this WhatsApp based learning companion, which is also assisted by a web app. So these together basically are how our program is delivered across these states. This learning companion includes three key components. We have the AI mentor buddy, which works providing 24/7 support for students and teachers. To a teacher, it acts as an AI assistant, and to a student, it acts as an AI mentor. We also use this chatbot to drive submissions, which are then evaluated using AI. And we are also generating feedback using AI, and which basically helps students to improve based on the feedback, and improve their submissions, look at different solutions based on the feedback that has been provided, and accordingly create better learning outcomes that way. We have just started working with AI powered automated personalized nudges, where we are basically doing the initial experiments, trying to identify different stages of the program for different users, different teachers, and students, and also identifying certain behavioral features so that we are able to send personalized nudges to our users at different stages of our journey. We basically are trying to mimic everything a human mentor would do in the form of a chatbot, right? So here we are looking at a use case of AI mentor buddy. So this is again taking Pooja's use case, where if Pooja needs help regarding her particular business idea, on our chatbot, she just goes and types help, and she receives instant guidance on her project idea. So we piloted this last year with over 6,000 students across 2, 3 states, and we've received around 11,000 conversations. This was around the time of submissions where students had a lot of questions about their projects, their business idea, about the program, about submissions, and we piloted this to be able to understand how an AI chatbot can actually create an impact there. So, based on our learnings and initial successes, we extended the AI Mentor Buddy launch this year to all states, and right now, since the teacher trainings that have happened in August, we have this chatbot being used for both teachers and students. So last year we piloted it only with students. This year we have also launched it for teachers along with students. So right now we have this running in 5 states, and we're also working on expanding it to other states. So since August this year, where we started our teacher trainings, we have around 21K students and around similar number of, I think, half the number of teachers who are also using it, with 36,000 conversations and 60,000 queries that are coming in, um, with a satisfaction score of 80%. So this is also something that we try to capture at the end of the help experience, where students and teachers, they rate how the response quality was. So now, while we have been working on this chatbot for some time and we've got some initial insights, but this overall works at a very deep level, where we have to, because we are working with children across these many states, we had to create a workflow where the user, after they type help, the user is asked to type in the query, which then goes through a series of steps, starting with a clarity score check, where we also check whether the input that has been entered is something that we can understand or not, we can make sense of it or not. And then we also have some initial input screening guardrails, which checks for clarity and also relevance. Is the query relevant to the program, relevant to the curriculum, relevant to the business idea that the students are working with? For unclear queries, we also give suggested options. Like how in Google, if you type something, it says, "Did you mean this?" So, based on an unclear query that a student has asked, we also provide options saying that we were not able to understand. Did you mean any of these questions? And we give two, three question options, and students basically end up selecting from them. The queries that students enter are then categorized and pushed to our response generation system, which are also split across different categories. We have categories like program wise, program specific information, or curriculum specific information, or business idea specific information, or some technical issue that students are having. So like that, we create different categories of the kind of queries that are coming in, and based on which we refer to different knowledge banks and provide responses. Now, this itself is a huge task, because we have to not just do this, but we have to also do this in five different languages. So we currently are supporting English is there. We also have Hindi, Marathi, Punjabi, but we also have a combination of these local languages along with English. So if I'm typing in English letters, but I'm basically using Hindi words. So a combination of these are also basically what we are currently supporting, right? And we have roughly 25 different variations of this AI Mentor Buddy, which right now, as of date, is running across 7 states, 4 different grades, and for teachers and students. So we, create a separate role. We define a role for the AI mentor to respond as an assistant if a teacher is asking a question, but to also respond as a mentor if a student is asking a question. So the tone that is set in the response that we are generating is also not just dependent on who is asking it, the grade, the role of the student or a teacher, but also the grade they belong to. If the student belongs to grade 9, we use a slightly different tone. If the student is a teenager or maybe in grades 11th or 12th, we use different tones there. So that also is something that we have added as a crucial aspect as part of our design. Lastly, because we are running this program across so many different states, every state has a custom curriculum based on a standard version of the curriculum. So the curriculum context, which is very specifically relevant to that state, is also fed in as part of the knowledge bank. So that's why we have that has been what has led to these 25 different variations that I was talking about earlier. We all these variations include the curriculum context, the grade context, and the role context of the user who's asking for help. Apart from this, we have also been using AI on Glyphic, using the flows to collect submissions for students from students, and evaluating that. We do a simple validation first to ensure that the submissions are meeting the minimum requirements. They are not junk submissions. And beyond that, we also generate feedback based on the work that students are submitting, which are evaluated against a rubric that a curriculum team has created. And based on the score that is generated, we also provide feedback suggesting students to either improve or even giving them next steps. What are the things that they can do now that the submission is completed? So we've seen a huge improvement in the completion of these steps in our program journey since we have introduced the AI mentor, and we started doing evaluation based on that. In fact, last year we used to have roughly around 49% completion of certain steps, like the submission steps. This year it has risen to 97%. So we have roughly doubled the completion, the retention of students in the program because of the use of AI generated response, which was creating more personalized, more specific responses to the student queries and to the student submissions itself. 85% teams have actually started submissions in just 2 months of the program start, which also used to be an issue earlier, which is 9% jump from the previous year's numbers. We're also seeing 10% of our teams revising and resubmitting their valid submissions. So if I've submitted and my submission is valid, but I've got some feedback which basically is generated by AI to improve on my work. So we've seen 10% of our students currently, or teams actually, currently taking that feedback, working on it, and submitting again, which basically leads to the improvement of the quality of submissions. And yeah, we are expecting to get slightly higher numbers by the end of the year. Right now, the submissions are still ongoing in the various states that we're working with. Um, yeah, I think one of the things that I wanted to end with is that while we have been using the layer of AI on top of our chat flows, this, because it's a learning companion tool, we also have been using WhatsApp nudges heavily in this entire journey, because at different stages of the program we provide students with resources and teachers also with resources. We collect challenges that that teachers are facing while delivering some of the sessions, doing some of the activities in the classroom. And at regular intervals, we create certain solutions for against those challenges and share them as nudges with teachers. We also, highlight, we provide certain resources which are on our web app, but also, some external resources that students and teachers can use to basically be able to complete their journey. In some cases, we also provide some motivational nudges, because if you see that some activities are dropping down in terms of the expected journey that we had in that particular program, then we also nudge through some motivational nudges to teachers to basically encourage them to complete certain activities. Also to students, if they are falling behind, if they have dropped off, we also nudge students to basically ensure that they are completing certain steps. Again, some of this is being done manually right now, and the work on doing it completely through an automated mechanism is something that is ongoing. By this time next year, we're hoping that we will be able to leverage all these to be able to create the AI powered nudges also into our system. So I'll pause here for any questions, any thoughts that anyone else would like to share. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to talk about today.
Thank you so much, Shashank. I see, I'm in between, I saw Suki raise her hand. Um, and are there any questions here? Um, I see a few questions within
Yeah, yeah, no,
the
listen,
chat.
I put my question on the chat.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, let me go through these two. Right. So how do translations happen? So what we do is we first for every state we identify what are the standard languages that are going to be running there. So for example, let's say in Uttarakhand we have Hindi, English, and a combination of Hindi and English. Right. So when someone is typing, we have based on certain phrases and words and the language tones, we identify what was the language that was typed in, and based on that all the subsequent responses, we basically switch the language on in the flow in Glyphic. We set the language for the subsequent flow in Glyphic, and based on the language selected, typed in, we share the responses based on the initial input language that is there. But by
And
default, even beyond that, we also have a preferred language that any user they set when they're registering on the chatbot.
okay, so whether this switch that happens how? Is it automated through Glyphic, or how does it happen?
Yes, it's in the flow of Glyphic. As soon as, let's say, I type help, right, and the chatbot asks this entire thing that you can see on screen right now. Pooja types help. If the
Yeah.
default language was set in English, this is how, let's say, a response is coming in English, right? This is a
Okay.
combination of English and Hindi. So then, if Pooja types in actual Hindi characters,
Mhm.
we are basically able to identify through a check on Glyphic itself, and then we
Okay.
set the language, the result variable on Glyphic as Hindi if Pooja is typing in Hindi, and then all the subsequent responses are actually generated in Hindi.
I can
Okay.
give a demo of the platform once all the questions are answered. So probably that way people would have a clearer picture. Uh,
Also, I had one more question, and that is that all these answers that are coming to a person's question, where is that getting populated from?
Right, right. So what we do is we create a knowledge base of all the different categories that I mentioned earlier, right? So all the information about the program. So if in Uttarakhand there is specific requirement of the program, duration of the program, calendar of the program, even name of the program. So all these is basically set into an FAQ sort of a document. Similarly, about the curriculum, we create a document about business ideas specifically because students have very different business ideas. We will not be able to ever have a finite set of ideas that way. So this
Correct.
is the category for which we ask our AI. We create an AI flow to fetch responses from in the internet, and how
Mm.
AI with some guardrails that we have put
Okay.
to make sure that it fetches responses from there. So based on the categories, it just goes into different knowledge bases and fetches the responses.
And then my last question I have is that is WhatsApp integral to this?
Yes. So basically, WhatsApp, as Ashwarya also mentioned earlier, is something that comes pre-installed.
Mm.
It's not a separate application that most users have to install. And we've seen in remote villages where people also have low-end phones where WhatsApp comes pre-installed, but to download and install a separate application becomes a pain for
Mm.
a lot of them. So WhatsApp has become the primary way for us to communicate. But as I mentioned, there are some things that also need to be present as a page. So that's why while we are providing resources like videos and even PDFs at the right time through nudges, but we also have a collection of all the videos on our web app. So we
Mm.
also nudge students to check out the web app sometimes if they want to go ahead in their journey, or even if they want to refer something from the past, so they can always go to the web app. But the chatbot basically guides them through the journey as part of the program stage that they belong to.
Okay. And this web app ka thing, this new SIM binding business, is this going to affect it?
No, so the web app is just a browser-based web application which opens up. So it's not linked to any SIM binding. I'm not sure if that creates a constraint, but it's more like a website that you can just open. So we have a link on which we share on the chatbot. When students type a keyword,
Mm.
it just shares their web app link. So Uttarakhand users will have a separate link. Punjab students will have a separate link. So when they click on the link, it takes them to their own like program web
Okay. So
page.
the web app has nothing to do with WhatsApp.
No, no, no.
Okay, cool.
we have a few more questions here. Karthik from Selco Foundation is asking, is the knowledge base managed by Udyam and it's not general internet data, right?
So there is, as I mentioned, there are parts of it. So the program and the curriculum information is managed by us. For the general internet data, which basically, you can ask any question on chat, OpenAI or, Gemini, it gives you responses. But apart from that, we also add certain guardrails by, the prompts that we have added, make sure that how do we respond? What are some key things that we need to keep in mind while giving that response? For example, if a student wants to, let's say if their business idea includes creating an Uber type product or service. Now we set the context of what is the duration of the program, what is the duration of the project that they have, what is it that they can actually achieve, what is the age of the student, what are the local contexts available. Based on that, when the AI is generating the response, it also includes in the response what is feasible. So we also include the aspect of the context of feasibility, the context of resources, the context of next steps that are doable by the child. All of that is added along with the response that we get from the internet, right? So that's why it's a very curated response on top of what we are getting from the LLM that is fetching the responses from the internet.
Perfect. So I think Ajit from Snehalaya has requested to collaborate. So he's asking how can children from his organization benefit from Udyam. So uh,
Yeah,
um,
we would love to connect, further. We'd like to know what are you guys doing and, how we can collaborate. Just feel free to reach out. I'll share our contact details. We'd love to, get in touch.
yeah. We can share Shashank's email ID in our resources that we share post the webinar. So that way you can reach out to him directly if there is anything that you would want to know. Um, okay, have we covered every question? Are there any more? Um, are there any more questions anyone wants to unmute and ask?
I'm also going through this. Looks like we've covered everything. Yeah. In fact, just would like to add, while we're all working in this space, we'll all have some similar use cases where we can definitely collaborate and learn from each other. There are going to be some new use cases for us. For example, the evaluation piece. How do we evaluate student submissions has been a very new piece, and we've put in a lot of effort. But we would also love to know from how have you guys been working on something similar, if at all, and improve and create a common kind of a learning space for all of us.
That would be
Hey,
great.
I had one last question, and that was that what is the difference between this chatbot in the pre-AI era and now? And my understanding from what you said, Shashank, was how you use it here. Like for a lot of the answers, you have your own bank of information based on what you have. And for things which are way over that, you basically use the internet with through an AI type thing. Is that correct?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we create categories. So there is a step in the process which basically tries to identify what is the category of the query that the user has asked. And
Right.
if that category belongs to, it's about the query is about the program, it's about the curriculum, any skills in the curriculum. So we fetch it from our knowledge base, so that the context is very strongly bound,
Sure.
as opposed to, let's say, if the query is about any business idea, right? So that is going to be very restrictive if we pull it from our list. What we do is we fetch that response from the internet, but from our LLMs, but we also put the context of a student doing this, part of the program, the duration, the
Sure.
local resources that are available, all of that.
Sure. So basically, my question is before AI came in, this latter part of what you were able to do would not have been possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So what we have been doing, in fact, that is where our work with Glyphic has been really powerful so far, has been to be able to look at what is the journey that we expect users to do. How can we simplify the journey by using the tools that we have, which is creating a flow based on what is the next thing that the user expects. So we've created a flow to collect a lot of user data also through our chatbot. Like I mentioned, submissions we were doing even before we had AI. So, what are some steps we create through our chat flows, which enables students to be able to get the resource at the right time, any help or input on how to do this submission, and then proceed to move to actually submitting their idea, actually submitting their pitch video. So creating those flows based on the user experience,
Mhm.
that has been extremely essential, and that has been what we have been able to do with Glyphic till now.
Great. Thank you so much, Shashank. Just in the interest of time, moving forward, and we will have 5 more minutes at the end for all the questions, and we will share Shashank's email ID for more questions that you might have. Shashank, hope that's okay. If we
Sure,
put more
sure.
questions on the email.
Yeah.
Um, so we have put together a small demo for all of you to actually visualize and have a hands-on experience on of what AI could enable. So here on this demo, it's a combination of a rule-based and an AI-based conversation. The rule-based flow goes in where you can actually register your complaints, and the AI-based conversation moves into where you can ask questions about. So this is something that an organization called Setu that we work with had put together. So they work in sharing information about women's policies in workplace. So they have put together a document and have made this chatbot available for women, which they can ask any questions on when they're unsure of how to go about a particular situation when it comes to workplace policies. So please do scan this QR code. No data is being collected at our end. You don't need to fear that. So it's just going to be an experience for you. Um, so once you have scanned, do let me know, give me a thumbs up so that I can take you to the platform to show you how it's looking there. Are all of you on the same page? I see two thumbs up. Can I stop sharing the screen and go to a different screen? Okay, so I hope you can see a different screen right now. So this is your Glyphic platform. I'm logging into mine right now. So once you log into yours, when you have one, this is how the first page is going to look like. So right now, we can see a lot of conversations that's happening on the right, and the conversations of how it is going through happens here. So if you have actually given any other um, keyword instead of I would suggest that you type AI and then send that. Keyword is basically a word that you trigger, um, that you use to trigger a particular conversation, right? Um, so here we've put it as AI. All of you were able to get into the right
Yeah.
conversation. I hope.
Yeah.
Right. So this is how the chat screen looks like. And if you would want to like basically go into the rule-based conversation, you have to select the option of file complaints. If you want to explore how the AI based chatbot would look like, you'll have to go into the Women Rights by Setu. So now just to show you how it looks like, when you put this conversation together on like how Shashank was explaining that you build this conversation called flows, right? So we gave it a name called flow because we build it like a flow chart. So there is boxes and arrows that's connected with each other that's defining what step the chatbot has to do, what is should be the response for a particular user's ask. So this is how this entire conversation is looking like that you're experiencing right now. So these kind of messages with buttons for users to interact with, we call it interactive messages. So this is a node which has multiple. So I'll just get your question at the end. Multiple different functionalities within them. uh, so hold on. Yep. And if someone selects English, what has to be done? And if someone selects Hindi, what has to be done is being defined using arrows and another box. Basically, that's telling what should be the next functionality. So this is how we have put this entire conversation together. So now, again, to answer your question, Suki, you had a question on how the translation happens. So you can enable up to 12 languages on a particular flow. So all of those languages that you enable will be visible on the top right part of the screen. Let's say if you want to translate this into Hindi, I say Hindi, and because of the Google Translates integration, the all the user facing conversations are now translated to Hindi. you can edit these translations and make it a combination of English. Um, yeah, so this is how you do it with a click of a button. If you want to preview this, there is a button here of preview that gives you a ability to preview it within a virtual mobile. Uh, yep. Um, and then if I'll have to talk about AI assistance, of how I have actually enabled uh, the AI part of it, where we have actually put in the documents and things like that. So this is the section of where you set it up. Um, where you pass in the instructions here. So if I'll have to give you, like, basically you pass in the instructions, like if in case it's a if it's a policy document, then you say you're a scheme specialist, so you're giving them the role that the chatbot has to assume, so that it knows what hat it has to wear to answer certain questions. And I mean, yes, there are multiple different ways to actually pass instructions. There is no one right way, but the way that I'm talking about right now is what something that has worked for many. So there's an entire vast course called prompt engineering. We call these instructions that we pass to a chatbot called prompt, that you can refer to. But yes, so generally what we do is, as instructions, we pass the role that the chatbot has to assume in order to answer. And you can also put in guardrails, like how it should answer within 3 lines, 4 lines, 4 sentences. Should it answer in bullets, points? Should it highlight bold texts? Should it include YouTube video links if there are any within the knowledge base that you've provided? So all of those instructions is something that you will give here, and then you add the document here. um, on managed files. This is how you create. So this is a very quick overview of how the the platform, the Glyphic platform looks. It can enable multiple things for you. The possibilities are more, but just a quick overview. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, okay.
So these flows, this sort of chart, like yes or no, go here, go there, that is already predefined, or that's part of setting up of a project for Glyphic and the organization.
So there are, yes, so because it's a low code, no code platform, it's mostly intuitive, and we would want you to build it, but there are certain templates that we have put together that you can reuse, like the registration, probably, where the basic details would be name, age, gender, and things like that, which you can edit. But
Mm,
yeah, the idea being that we provide you this platform, and then you have a person who can work upon this, and where we support you if in case you would require
got
our
it.
support.
Got it. Got it.
Any other questions?
Sorry, in the AI assistant,
Yep.
when you were uploading the document,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I might have missed that. The document has the instructions for the prompts, or is it, what does that document have?
Okay. Um, hey Brenda, thank you for joining us. First of all, the Setu bot that all of you are experiencing is built by the Setu team here. So just introducing you to the folks here. So the instructions that you pass here are different in comparison to the document that you add. So the document that you actually add here has all the content that you want the chatbot to refer into to answer questions. Whereas
Got it. The
here,
knowledge database.
correct, the knowledge database. In instructions, you are telling it how it should answer. Did that clarify your question? Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? Great. If no other questions, I want to quickly make an announcement. This is something that we have been waiting to um, announce for a while now. So we are coming up with a cohort called Glyphic AI Chatbot Accelerator. So this is something that we will be doing in April 2026. So this is going to be a very highly selective cohort of 15 organizations at the maximum. Uh, so 15 organizations of new NGOs and 15 organizations of existing NGOs. So this is only for those organizations uh, who are planning to or who are currently working on AI based use cases. So these 15 organizations which are new and the 15 which are old will receive funding from Tech for Dev, and support as a pathway to build, pilot, and scale their chatbot for 6 months altogether. So there are certain things around it, selection criterias and how it works and things like that. So we will be sharing more details around it soon, but this is coming your way. So if you are looking for an opportunity like this, yeah, please keep an eye out for an official announcement on LinkedIn and our newsletters, which is going to come out soon. Any questions?